Yes, I'll have a large one. Way, large one, get it? Oh yes, you do, large one. Sounds a bit rude, isn't it? Sounds a bit rude.
This video will make Joe Biden jealous, so please don't retweet this. Today it was a bunch of Trump supporters at a restaurant and we went outside and danced in the street. Cars stopped and people danced with us. But Biden is the most popular president, whereas his supporters both typical.
We love you, brothers! You're the MAGA dance! As seen in Times Square, Hollywood Boulevard, Las Vegas Boulevard, the Trump unity brings the MAGA dance!
Forever Armo, amen. Time for some standing for Uncle Asad Boyoks of 5F. Free speech Bapalelaja. Honestly, I want Jesus to come now. I oppose abortion but support wars pro-life oxymoron. 0M56 I am aware of that unfortunate fact. 0M56 Saramada, who is she? Trump is better than Abraham Lincoln. Xzepit lucky you, brother. You are not Christian if you. News alert: persecution of Christians in the Islamic gutter called Pakistan. Muslim sex predator badly beats up Christian female professor after entering her home and unsuccessfully trying to rape her at gunpoint. Police is not arresting him. These Twitter polls will get me suspended again. The time is coming soon when you would be called a misogynist and accused of patronizing behavior for stopping to change the tire for an elderly woman motorist or doing the shopping for your elderly woman neighbor. You are a misogynist if you. You are not an American patriot if you. You are Islamophobe if you. You are an anti-Semite if you. Xzepit what is 25 Eddie? National Hole. May I ask what is LW? Almost all the Middle East reporters of Western news media are Jews. Why it's a conflict of interest? Even if they were not biased, there is a war going on between Muslims and Jews there. But if you raise this genuine question, you are immediately labeled as anti-Semitic. Parents who run social media accounts on YouTube based on the activities of their children in order to make money are the sickest. Children have rights. They have the right to privacy. They are not circus animals. Spain. North African migrants gang rape Irish woman on Canary Islands after she offered to help them. Police guess which religion these North African animals belong to. Simps are out in full force today. My timeline is full of stupid tweets by ethics retweeted by armies of simps. Trans kids. This woman is the enemy of children. She is satanic. He is trying to point out the madness of Putin. Apologists. Russians are the great friends of Syria, but they are not saints, who the people are forbidden to criticize. Who is running the White House? The lie about the genocide of Muslims in China. Islam is the ideology of world domination. They want your total submission or your death. All of their sects have this same mentality. Today in the UK, a group of Muslim sex predators were harassing two girls outside a shop. When a guy asked them not to do that, they beat him up. And in the UK, which considers itself the policeman of the world, Mark Lone satanic Israeli in you talking trying to sabotage the message of the meeting. Ejmal Rhino criticism here, just justifying the dollars that the Iranian regime pays me via Hezbollah's media office. People always say aren't there more important things than Speedy Gonzales or Dr. Seuss, or insert latest cancel victim here. No, banning books is fascism. Prohibiting creative expression is fascism. That's pretty important. Anyone who doesn't like Kalashes is immediately my enemy. LOL to Chrissy Teigen claiming that public scrutiny is going to cause to Meghan Markle to have a miscarriage. Meghan set up an interview while pregnant with the world's most renowned talk show host of all time because she wanted maximum publicity. Typical Hollywood narcissist. California has proposed a bill to ban boys and girls sections in toy and clothing stores to create a safe space for children. They want to fine retailers $1,000 for using the words boy and girl. I cannot put into words how positively despicable Democrat politicians are. Caucasus in exile. I'm guessing that certified white pre-owned costs the most. Zionism is a octopus which has many tentacles. Communism, socialism, liberalism, republicanism, Christian Zionism, internationalism, globalism, Freemasonry, the Illuminati, Trilateral Commission for Bilderberg, Antifa, etc. are all tentacles controlled by a secret Zionist elite. For those who don't not know, when I use the term Zionism or Zionist, I don't mean the definition which you find in a dictionary. Zionism describes the global empire which is controlled by secret Jewish elite. It has existed before the Zionist movement, which sought to create Israel. Except that he was innocent and just a scapegoat because the Boston bombing was an inside job. Everything that happens on the week or April 19th is an Illuminati false flag orchestrated event at Oklahoma City bombing. Notice how Vito confronts Finn by the portable toilets, bathrooms, and porta-potties are gay hunting zones.
You know, I never asked you what your last name is.
It's Detrolio.
Finn Detrolio. My arch nemesis.
Me and my right-wing Amtrak friends are gonna bring down the New World Order with just a few hammers. Facts threes.
Get the storytelling, motherfuckers. Let me tell you a little something about my family. I come from a very, very long line of Hamiltons. And you know, my mom always told me, you never want to be the nail. Never that. You want to be the fucking hammer. The hammer. Because once you become the hammer, you become unstoppable. Stop, baby. And that's where I got all these hammers. Right from my bloodline. This fucking bloodline. And it's fucking hammer time, baby. Fucking hammer time.
His Brent 20 seems based. When you are so Christian that you recognize pagan Mother Nature as the enemy. A Unite Against Zionism party. Assad Russia deals with oil thieves.
استشهد العنصر كان باب السيارة سافرت سيارة الثانية
Here is a little reminder for you: Trump is not on the ticket in 2022, so you better think hard about how your whining sounds to your voters who really don't care about how far you have to walk to vote. Instead, let's change the playbook so we can win. And Zoom calls with your chambers of commerces and constituents where you are spouting off about how you are doing everything you can to stop the radical insane policies of the Dems, yet you are whining about walking to go vote for a motion to adjourn can't. So for some of my GOP colleagues who think sitting on your ass on Zoom committee meeting where you are powerless and Democrats could care less about your ideas is actually important, and that calendars and schedules matter so much when policy changes it every week can't. The House took back seats in 2020 and nearly won the majority because of President Trump and America First policies. Why do you think Republican voters love Trump? Because he fought FORTHE people. He didn't join the swamp to do business as usual. That doesn't work can't. In spite of having President Trump who wanted to sign into law so many good things that our voters desperately wanted, our Republican Congress failed, and that's why they lost the House in 2018. But so many of these Republicans still don't seem to get it. Can't. To stop the ridiculous mind-numbing Russian collusion conspiracy theory witch hunt on President Trump, I along with most Republican voters lost full confidence in many of the Republicans we elect. How dare I say this out loud, right? Can't. You know what made me run for Congress in 2016-2018 when the GOP-controlled House and Senate couldn't manage to repeal Obamacare, fund our border wall, did not end abortion even though they all say they are pro-life, and did nothing. Can't. You know the type of person that is supposed to just donate, vote, keep your mouth shut, and support the elected Republicans that know way more than us little folks that run businesses, employ people, and pay taxes. Can't. But I should remind everyone I wasn't recruited by those in charge to run for Congress. I ran because I'm very much one of those Neanderthal deplorable invisible tax-paying regular people. Can't. Sure, I understand that the swamp operates a certain way and everyone is frustrated with me that I just don't dive right off the high dive and plunge right into the murky disgusting slime and just do as I'm told. Can't. For trying to do anything I possibly can to disrupt and stop the Democrats from destroying our country. They are annoyed because it was a little inconvenient and I didn't tell them ahead of time, so they could just complain to me and try to convince me not to do it. Can't. I call for motions to adjourn so that the Democrats can have at least another hour to come to their senses before they vote for this kind of crap. Oddly, some of my GOP colleagues don't share my outrage and are annoyed with me. Can't. Doesn't seem to be enough to make some of my GOP colleagues feel like they can actually stand up out of a chair and walk to go vote for a motion to adjourn. They'd rather sit on committee Zoom meetings where they are mute and their hands are tied doing nothing. Can't. As if a $19 trillion woke progressive spending spree with only 9 to covet isn't enough. Dems destroying women's rights and sports, wiping out religious freedoms, defunding the police, HR 1, and erasing gender completely. Can't. It's unfortunate that some of my GOP colleagues who have been in Congress a lot longer than me don't share the outrage that Republican voters feel about the Democrats' radical agenda. Can't. I dedicate this thread to my GOP colleagues. The headline of this article should read: Marjorie cares about the people, not the politicians, and refuses to join the swamp. I didn't get voted into office by politicians. I serve the people. Context go 0 if 2 7K. Tell me again why American taxpayer-funded schools for our American children can't be 100 open, and why do we need to spend another $2 trillion for COVID? This right here tells you everything you need to know. COVID is Democrats' greatest political scam. Biden's open border policy has already created a human trafficking crisis and big business for the cartels. In less than 2 months, we are right back to rewarding illegal immigration. If you care about people, the best way to keep them safe is by having a secure border.
What is the situation with the cartels and the coyotes with these people?
Well, late at night they have been complaining that a lot of automobiles have been coming and they have been picking up families and they have been picking up people. The problem right here is that a lot of these people, they don't want to be, related to no illegal activity. But a lot of these individuals are coming late at night, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, walking around the whole camp and asking if they want to cross to the United States of America. They don't say a price, they just throw it out there in the air, and they just hear and they get up and they start following them. They don't know if these people come back, if these people are being taken, safely to wherever place that they are going to be doing what they have to be doing. But the problem right here, Ben, is that, Tijuana is number 1 for cartel activity, and number 2 for child trafficking, and number 2 for killings of women. We have a lot of violent activity. So it's not only people that they're coming over here to cross them illegally. You can have a lot of activity as kidnappings, as child trafficking, as kidnappings of children, as also people that are getting recruited by the organized crime to work in our city of Tijuana. So it's a lot of scenarios that you can manage that they are happening right now, and ultimately they feel extremely insecure in this area.
Where does Lauren Goodbert go to get her apology? God is good. Still great. Tell your followers how many times you've been to America. Elijah Sheffer, amen. But ironically, every man can have that if they marry. The United States is in many ways already worse off than the Soviet Union. I could hardly imagine even Stalin thinking it prudent to emasculate your countrymen. One day history will show it was easier to rebuild after 70 years of communism than however many years of what's coming. Jack Posobiec, what would he do about drag queen story hour though? Jack Murphy. The left is currently governing the way we should have. The GOP should have utilized big tech to ban pornography and stop the spread of leftism. We should have changed election laws so Democrats never win. And we should have put Jesus Christ back in government. Republicans run for office to become social media influencers. Democrats run for office to actually wield power. And that's why we never get anything done when the GOP controls the government. The only hate speech that exists is hate speech against God, which ironically is the type of speech the left loves to use. The Second Amendment has no asterisks. When deciding how much stimulus money we should give to illegal aliens, the number should be somewhere between 0 and 0. Or you can donate $2,900 to my campaign just to avoid that waste of time. Joe Biden has made America a sanctuary country for illegals. 16 million people make wages at or below the minimum wage in America right now. The CBO report claims 14 million jobs will be killed if we go to 1,500. Pretty clear what these numbers are telling us. Democrats will run this country into the ground using immigration as a weapon. If we don't solve the illegal immigration crisis, we will not have a country much longer. Donate to my campaign today so I can stand strong for our border. As per 1x8s. When you think your life is back, just remember there are people who actually care about the gender of a plastic potato. Toxic masculinity keeping snowflakes safe since 1775. If confiscating all gun safes just any life, it would be worth it. Well, if deporting all illegal alien safes just any life, wouldn't that also be worth it? The real stimulus that this country needs is to end the lockdowns and let everyone go back to work. This has been going on a whole year now. Thanks for the fact check. Facebook very cool. Sticker for Q3 IDFI. Uprude have admitted that they made a mistake regarding my breasts thumbnail. For some reason they responded in French, possibly because French censors are permissive about nudity. I've incorporated the response into the new thumbnail. 9.8.
Large one. Way, large one, get it? Oh yes you do, large one! Sounds a bit rude, isn't it? Sounds a bit rude! Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Jolly Heretic. Now today I'd like to talk about something quite serious, which is the way in which... Oh my god, my ear must have fallen down. It's getting very cold in Northern Finland at the moment, and so I've had to avail myself of some new earmuffs, but unfortunately they do keep falling down. Look, anyway, let's get to the point. Hello. Welcome to this edition of the Jolly Heretic. Today I would like to talk about breasts, about boobies, about revolving wobbly bits, and particularly about the fact that they are getting bigger, and why they are getting bigger. Now I will put the studies that relate to this underneath the video for those that would like to have a look at them, but there are some fascinating studies that have indicated that this is the case. They've indicated that breasts are getting bigger, and indeed they've indicated that this is probably for genetic, rather than people say all these things all to do with the environment, that it's almost certainly for genetic reasons. Now there's a very interesting meta-analysis which looked at differences in breast size over a long period of time, and what it has shown is that, okay, we do have other analyses that are to do with bra sizes and things like this, and it's certainly the case that bra sizes are getting bigger in Western countries, but the problem with that as a measure is that lots of women don't wear the right bra size. Certainly women, shops are selling bigger and bigger bras, but women don't have the right bra size a lot of the time, so it's not a good measure. A better measure is actually to measure the bust, the circumference of the bust. Now, according to this meta-analysis, which looked at data in many countries, the circumference of the bust has increased between 1940 and 2002 by 6.3 centimetres. So boobies are getting bigger, and not just in Western countries, but in many other countries as well. Now, why is this the case? Well, the obvious answer is that women are getting fatter, and if women are getting fatter, then obviously they're going to accrue fat on the boobs, and that is going to make the boob size bigger. Now, the problem with this argument is that, yes, that's true if you look at countries such as America or Britain, but this meta-analysis looked at many other countries as well, countries that are less developed and so on, where the obesity epidemic isn't as substantial or hadn't hit in yet when the analysis was collected, and even in those kinds of countries, breasts are getting bigger as well. So it seems that breasts are getting bigger, and although the issue of fat is contributing to them getting bigger, it is not the only reason. Now, this is interesting in itself because this is happening alongside some other changes that help us to understand what the explanation for this might be. Age at menarche is getting younger. And again, a meta-analysis has found age at menarche has been getting younger by 3 months per decade since, or roughly that much, since 1977. So, for example, in the 1930s, the average age at menarche was 13.8, and that is, by the way, considerably earlier than it was in the 10s or in the 19th century, when it was 15, 16, whatever. In the 1950s, it was 12.8. By 1995, it was 12.1, and by the year 2013, it was 11.9, and it's almost certainly younger now. And what does that say for outliers? My daughter has a friend who started her period at the age of 8. That's the outliers then become very, very extreme. So age at menarche is getting younger, and has been getting younger across the 20th century. In addition, there is some evidence, which we'll see in a minute, relates to this, that twinning is getting more common. So in the United States, it seems that across the 20th century, the number of twins, not identical twins, but of non-identical twins, has doubled. So people are more likely to be twins. Now, finally, what's potentially interesting, as we'll see in a minute, is that females appear to be becoming more masculinized, really, in their features. Now, I'll put a link below, but there's a very good blog entry about this some years ago by someone called Diane Eakes, in which he morphed together the faces of the most famous Hollywood film stars, the most prominent Hollywood film stars, in 1940, and he then did the same for the faces of the most prominent Hollywood film stars in about 2009, or whenever it was he did his analysis. And what you see very clearly, there's a startling difference between the two. The Hollywood star of 1940 is more feminine, more innocent-looking, very much more a wife, or a mother, whereas the Hollywood star of 2009, or whatever, is much more a whore. And what makes her a whore are these more masculinized features. So narrower eyes, by the way, is associated with testosterone. A shorter face and a wider face, this is associated with testosterone. She's basically more manly. And what she's screaming at you is one night stand, dangerous, Jezebel, fast and loose. That's I'll break your heart into a million pieces, but it'll be, you won't regret it, it'll be fun along the way. Whereas what the one from 1940 is saying to you is stable, trustworthy, kind, loving, good mother, but boring, not a lot of fun. And so you have all of these things, and I would suggest that they are interrelated. Any one of those, particularly the issue of menage, people like to put it down to environmental factors, such everything has to put down to environmental factors by those chemicals or whatever. But that may be the case in isolation. But taken together, what they indicate is that the so-called life history strategy of humanity, which is at least 0.5 heritable, if not more, is changing. Now, I've looked at this a number of times on this channel, of course, but for those who are new to the channel, I will re-summarise it. Life history strategy is that we all sit on a spectrum between a fast and slow life history strategy. A fast life history strategy involves being adapted to an unstable yet relatively easy environment. This means this militates in favour of living fast and dying young. It's unstable, so you could be wiped out at any moment. So therefore, everything has to happen quickly in a fast life history strategy environment. So you deal with this by being promiscuous, by having sex with as many fit people as you can, and having as many offspring as you can, and not investing much energy in them, and hoping that some of the offspring survive. You invest, therefore, most of your energy in copulation. As the environment becomes more stable and more harsh, the carrying capacity for the species is reached, and so we move towards what is a slow life history strategy or a K strategy. In this environment, the environment is harsh and competitive, and so you have to be adapted to the environment. If you simply have lots of children, then they're not adapted to the environment in any way. They're not prepared for the environment, and they could all just die. And so because it's so harsh and competitive and cold, and so the result of that is that it selects in favour of taking energy. We only have a limited amount of bioenergetic resources, and so we take energy away from copulation and we put it into nurture, and we nurture a smaller number of offspring whom we have by a smaller number of females, let's say, in order to ensure that they are optimally able to compete in the environment and that they survive. Now, what this means is that there has to be a period of time in which they can be nurtured, in which they can learn things about the environment and adapt to the environment, i.e. childhood. And therefore, the whole system slows down. Fewer children, longer childhood, more investment in them. And also the nature of the personality, the nature of the character changes. So if you have a predictable environment, a stable environment, and there's problems to be solved, and those that are better at solving those problems will be more likely to survive. So this means that you select for intelligence. You have to be able to plan for the future and make predictions. This selects in favour of the personality trait conscientiousness or impulse control. You are more likely to be good at nurture if you are a nice, kind of person. And so this selects the personality trait agreeableness or altruism or empathy. You are more likely to survive if you can make bonds with other people and form tightly structured groups where you can work together to survive. So this selects in favour of empathy and impulse control. You are more likely to survive if you are mentally stable. And so therefore this selects against mental instability and so on. So you have a different kind of personality, you become more intelligent, and you also alter the way in which you look. So in an unstable ecology, you live fast, die young. So people select for to have sex with as many people as possible. To the extent that they're selective, they want to have sex with people who indicate, if they're women, indicate youth and beauty. Youth because people that are young are more likely to be fertile, and beauty because what beauty is basically saying is that you have good genes. You are high in estrogen or whatever. You have good genes. You've been able to maintain a symmetrical phenotype in the face of disease, which means that you have good genes. Because a person that has bad genes will be using disproportionately more of their bioenergetic resources to fight off the disease, and so they'll end up looking asymmetrical, ugly, and whatever. So therefore you advertise as conspicuously as you can your genetic quality. One of the ways you do this is by growing secondary sexual characteristics. These then become an object for sexual selection, because if they are symmetrical and beautiful and pretty, then they like a peacock's tail. The peacock's tail is telling the female, look, I have all these bioenergetic resources left over to be able to grow this big, beautiful, symmetrical tail. I have such good genes that I can cope and survive with this basically handicap in hunting terms of a massive tail. That's what it's saying. A peacock with bad genetics, with mutant genes, will have a gowy tail or a small tail or whatever. So you sexually select for the object. Now this is true with breasts. So women, by having large breasts, are advertising in an environment where they can live fast, die young. So they have to advertise their genetic quality as quickly and conspicuously as possible. And the way they will do that is by growing large breasts and large buttocks. The large breasts are showing I have the bioenergetic resources left over to be able to grow breasts that are A, large, and B, symmetrical and beautiful. And so men will sexually select for those for that characteristic. And so having large breasts is associated with an R strategy. This has been found at the individual level. So women who are sociosexual are more likely to have large breasts, and men, as I say, sexually promiscuous, R strategists, and men who are sociosexual are more likely to be attracted to large breasts because they are R strategists, and what they're interested in is short-term relationships with R strategy sort of people, and they're not particularly interested in investment. By contrast, women that have small breasts they are more likely to be K strategists, because in their environment, you don't live fast, die young. You live slow, die old. So it's not necessary to conspicuously advertise your genetic quality in that way. So you move energy away from conspicuously advertising genetic quality and into basically a more complex mind in which you are higher in altruism and higher in impulse control and things like that. And men will be more interested in that kind of mind because they will be investing in the offspring. They'll have to invest in the offspring in order for it to survive. If they invest in the offspring, they want to be sure that it's their own offspring. And one insurance policy that it's their own offspring will be a female who is high in altruism and high in impulse control. And this means that she will play by the rules. You know, she won't have affairs and things. She'll play by the rules. She'll be loyal and whatever. And she'll be kind, so she won't want to hurt her husband, and so she won't have affairs. And so by sexually selecting for that kind of mind will go with small breasts. And so it makes sense for such a man to be more sexually selective for smaller breasts. And men who are lower in sociosexuality tend to be more attractive to smaller breasts. And women who are lower in sociosexuality tend to have smaller breasts. So you can see how this relates to life history strategy. Now, the second thing we looked at was age of menage. Well, this is obvious. That you live fast, die young in an unstable ecology. So therefore, the more faster strategist you are, the shorter will be your childhood, the younger you will go through puberty, and indeed the younger you will go through menopause. And I looked at this in my book, Making Sense of Race. The younger you will do everything, and the younger you will die, because you just do everything younger. So that would be consistent with us becoming more strategists, that the age of menage is getting younger. As for twinning, well, this is again a matter of investment. Do you have one offspring and invest a great deal in it, or do you have multiple offspring and thus inherently investing less in them? The more strategy the animal is, the larger are its litters. Insects have thousands of children in one go, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller the more K-selected the animal is, as we get down to humans, where in general it is one child. Now, within humans, people who are more strategists tend to have more twins, because twins mean you're having more of them and you're investing less in them. It's quantity over quality, whereas K strategy is quality over quantity. So again, the fact that twinning is increasing would be consistent with this. Finally, the fact that the masculinization of females, to the extent that there is evidence of that, is increasing, is also consistent with this. Because if you're in an R strategy ecology, then what men will basically do is pump and dump. And so there is a degree to which the women are left on their own and have to fend for themselves and look after the children. And so obviously the women are will be selected to be more essentially masculinized, because those traits will allow them to survive in an unstable, dangerous ecology. So they will basically be doing male roles. There will be less of a division of labour in a highly unstable ecology like that. And so the sexual dimorphism, the difference between the sexes, is smaller in such unstable ecologies. And what you would expect is that women who would be strategists would look like that, and would look slightly more masculinized on some markers. And men who were attracted to a fast life strategy woman, who were fast strategists, would find those markers more attractive. Now what you get with a slow life strategy is the man invests in the woman, and therefore you get more of a division of labour. The woman's job is totally to look after the children, so she becomes very, very agreeable, very high in estrogen, basically more feminine, and therefore the differences between men and women become bigger, because the women become more feminine, which can be seen at its extreme with East Asian women. And the biggest sexual dimorphism, by the way, is among the Greenlandic. They become more feminine, so you have more sexual dimorphism. So if the difference between men and women is becoming less, if women are becoming masculinized, then this would be consistent with women becoming more selective, and becoming faster life history strategists to a greater extent. So all of this stuff indicates together, taken on its own, bigger, earlier menage could be down to chemicals or something in the food or whatever it is that fashionable suggests that it is. But taken together, what these indicate is that potentially at the genetic level, we are somehow selecting, at least among women, for our strategists, for people that want to live fast, die young, to be sexually promiscuous, to invest less in their offspring, that sort of thing. That's what we're selecting for. By the way, another thing, of course, sexually promiscuous is that you will get among K strategists, is that you will get monogamy to a greater extent, because you get fewer, the more extreme it is, then the fewer partners you have, because you invest more in nurture of fewer and fewer children, and again, the fewer partners you have. And so the breakdown of society, whereby you get these women on benefits that have multiple children by multiple men, that's of course an R strategy thing to do. So we get all this together. So what is going on? Well, what's causing this? Well, it seems to be what's likely to be causing this is that until under harsh Darwinian conditions, we were selected towards K strategy. We were selected, relatively speaking, towards K strategy, because we were living in a very harsh yet relatively predictable environment. Now, this is now completely broken down, and what we are living in is an environment that is predictable. It's not, but it's also very, very easy. And this then means that basically the crucible of selection has moved from things like child mortality or warfare to simply who is able to have children or who wants to have children. Because anybody can have, there's no child mortality anymore. Child mortality was 50% in 1800, it's 1% today. And so the question becomes not, are you healthy enough to have children? Can you invest in your offspring so that they survive, whatever. The question simply becomes, who has children? Who is having children in this ecology? And particularly in an ecology where we have reliable contraception. So people that don't want to have children don't have to have children. It's people that are reasonably intelligent and can use contraception will avoid having children. And I've looked at other videos at how this is we're becoming less intelligent, because people that are more intelligent are better able to use contraception, and so they end up for various reasons not having children. But anyway, what are we selecting for? Well, the first thing that we are clearly selecting for, and there's good evidence for this, is we are selecting for R traits. So the first thing we're selecting for is low conscientiousness. People who have low conscientiousness, low impulse control, tend to have more children. Why is that the case? Because they don't plan for the future, they live for the now, they are too impulsive to use contraception or whatever, and so they end up having more children. The second group of people that have more children is simply people who are selfish. People who are just sort of almost elements of narcissism, but people who are highly selfish people. Now, those people might have more children because if they're on benefits, for example, they get more money if they have more children. They won't use that money to look after their children. Obviously, that's not what they're about. They're not about investing in children, they're about investing in sex. But they get more money, and so therefore there is a strong incentive for them to have more children. A second component to it could be that there is a degree to which people tend to look up to people that have children. It's a sign of your health. It's a sign that as a species, you're the future of that species, or whatever. People do look up to it and congratulate you if you have children, or at least most people do. And so if you're a selfish person, there could be an incentive in that way. It's a way of sort of attaining status or something to have children. So that's the second group of people who have children. The third group of people that have children are people that have low intelligence, because intelligence is associated with being impulsive, it's associated with living for the now, it's associated with not efficiently being able to use contraception. I mean, let's say you're on the pill and you have low intelligence, you don't understand that you have to take the importance of taking the pill at the same time every day, otherwise you might get pregnant, and so you get pregnant by accident. And there is, of course, a -0.2 correlation now between having, in Western countries, between having children and your IQ, or your ability to solve cognitive problems or intelligence. So what this means is that we are, on that level, selecting for our strategy traits. Now, there's also a degree to which we are selecting for K strategy traits. So people who are high in agreeableness seem to have more children. This is presumably because if you're agreeable, you're high in a desire to nurture. That's what agreeableness kind of is, looking after people and being kind and so on. And so that means that you want to have children, and so you have children. We are selecting for religiousness, because there's a religious desire to have large families as mandated by God or whatever. And we are selecting for elements of K strategy. But it may be that overall, it is our strategy, at least among women, that is winning, that is being selected for to a greater extent. The whole thing is breaking apart anyway, because we are no longer under normal RK selection conditions. This would mean that it would just break apart, that the KR syndrome of traits, that the fast traits and the slow traits would simply break apart into who, in an environment of complete ease that is highly predictable, who desires to and can have children, because there's no selection pressure anymore. The whole thing would break apart. But it may well be that it is broken apart in the direction, I know I said the opposite of this on here before, but I'm now realising that research may have been wrong, the slow and steady wins the race, that it's breaking apart in the direction that we are having, we are pushing things in our selected direction, in a direction of live fast, die young at the genetic level. And this would explain parsimoniously why breasts are getting bigger, age at menarche is getting lower, women are seemingly becoming more masculinized, and twinning is getting higher. Taken together, this would imply that we are becoming more, this is winning race by the way, we are becoming more R-selected. And so what the future would be, but then of course there's also those that are more K-selected. And so and those people would be genetically quite different. And what you would expect would be a future where those people would come apart. You would tend to associate with those that are genetically similar to yourself, cooperate with those who are genetically similar to yourself, want to be with those who are genetically similar to yourself. And so those people would come apart. And that's what we may be seeing at the moment, the coming apart of humanity. Well, I hope it's been interesting. If it has, then please do subscribe. It really helps if you do that. So remember that I help the channel, which you can do in the ways you see below. I live stream on Mondays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. New York. And I will see you soon. And goodbye.
Kierkegaard Millwell 2012 is about when multiculturalism hit in here, so dysphoria went up, so people started to lose the will to live. Once again, the cool kids at work think they are ALL, that by hanging out together this time at the stupid and early celebration in Hoboken when it's too cold for a pub crawl too. They know zero about Ireland, they just listen to Bono too. I actually have been to Ireland twice. St. Patrick's Day is March 17th. Anyone who runs around Hoboken celebrating 2 weeks early is silly. I don't care if they are Irish, non-Irish, from school or from work, silly. Great, are you kidding me? Straight out of 1993, some eager beavers actually rented one of those dopey machines, and now we all have to listen to unfunny and not good singeing even during COVID. New York should never be this lame. This is Stoner Bill Blasio, fake name by the way. He grew up in Boston watching Starsky and Hutch. Baked into his fried brain is the myth that cops are racist. Pitsy his support of rioting against cops, sad how he found a few night wimps to back him up. When will night leadership be held accountable for caving to de Blasio and leaving the cops without effective strategy and crowd control measures while New York burned last summer? Force 5-7 rot. Cuomo has shown us that public officials aren't afraid to cook the books to make things look good on paper. I've heard of this happening elsewhere. Jeff 7 Guy. Weakness spoken 2 Pa 5. New York Times. In 2005, the crime rate has fallen farther than even the wildest optimists imagined, and managed to achieve all this in an atmosphere of racial harmony. He has shown that it's possible to fight crime without fighting the communities where most crime occurs. Has the police commissioner, but you probably don't recognize him because has a total zero, lacks the administrative skill, leadership, and backbone required for the job. His name is Dermot Shea, but the nickname is Dormiths. Presided over the canceling of the night goes off 7/12. Mr. 2. John F. Kennedy could not be a Democrat today. The Democrat Party has just gone too far left. To their credit, many of them at least admit to being socialists. 7.
I'm telling you what, John F. Kennedy could not be a Democrat today.
No.
Tip O'Neill could not be a Democrat today. And the only thing I would give Presley and AOC credit for, they don't call themselves Democrat. They call themselves Socialist Democrats, because that's who they are. And in America today, the chair of the Budget Committee in the Senate is Bernie Sanders.
Drunk 3P0 U2 Tskui Adkirk 4 liters. Master of Texts and is ignore. Thank you both. Nerdradix spot 6 Fjouch. And is ignore him, not gonna lie, Peppy always been creepy as hell. Beakskummer Stumpskadid Guy 8 Devon Fan 2K8. Skamilk Stolo. If the woke stupidity Olympics existed, this NFL football team would win gold in every event. You won't believe this. Go 7 Verms 0. I'm waiting for the outrage. You know, if Trump said this, there would be plenty of it. Lock HIMUP. What a schmuck, you really can't make this crap up anymore. China is laughing their asses off. Polls are 7 afternoon. The Senate successfully blocked a minimum wage hike from the coronavirus bill. This is great news. We cannot allow a policy that will harm business owners to pass. Jen Psaki is trying to defend Biden's Neanderthal comment. I can't help but think that if President Trump were to have said something like that, the left would have found a way to be completely outraged. We went from having the most secure border in our history to having an absolute crisis in only 45 days. Pray we have a country after the next 45. Just dudes being guys. Based presidential blunt rotation tpkiltper. Xms amongst xms. Dream blunt rotation tpko 6/0 ikchel. Expensive ekic Stoneclaw 316. Excellent addition to the roster. Stoneclaw 316 Lmayo. Stoneclaw 316 shit man, I think you're onto something. Rancid Zero Ricket strangely just spoke about this with Losasi Edipod. Hugh Hispasi I speak on it. New type of gay who tops from the bottom. New type of guy who deviates from acceptable cultural norms. Old type of guy. New type of guy who likes getting ran train on by the elites. Ether beers as a mixed coming 6 smirkable 2. Howling Mutant Zero Mayo, who knows that shit is. If you're a right-winger and you still believe in the free market, you're a fucking sucker, and they are taking your ass for a ride. You're getting pimped good. Bloomberg and the WSJ thinks price controls are a bad idea. No fucking shit, no way, dude. Who cooled a guest? Put fucking price controls on basic housing, healthcare and education. Every bullshit ass boogie media racket macking arguments against it always just says, well, the costs get passed on. Yeah, bullshit, it's always cause they didn't go all the way, always with the supply side bullshit. And follow use. It's a good game and it works. People fucking tap dance and do whatever you say for that crumb you owed them 2 weeks ago if you pimp them right. What's bleaker still is that a min wage increase doesn't even mean shit when there's no fucking jobs. They make you beg for the things that don't hurt their pockets anymore just so you never hope for even a quarter of what's decent. If a media figure made even a half-hearted Biden endorsement as the lesser of two evils, they are a fucking op. They keep saying people distrust the media and elites more than ever these days, but distrust is not enough. It needs to be pure acidic hatred and loathing for these people. WAPO and NYT people are literally the lowest of the low. I hate them more than leftards and saying alit. LOL, I swear to God, we need to fact post these people. So what's it called when Trump gave even more money? Fash bucks fu. Aggressive epit, no hard feelings. Cephadai prepapen one true. Claudia Jones Uful Mayo. Dialectical win lol. I'm talking about the state bailouts that just go to line elite pockets like COVID money funding some military contracts. Not talking about the checks, but you don't care cause you're just another tribal leftist has lost in bitterness over me clowning your ideological team. If somebody was challenging power and got cancelled, then that's worth taking note of as a function of power. The other shit is just fodder they throw out there to fight over dumb meaningless shit while they pass another wealth transfer bill with only crumbs for all of you. Disregard most of your feed about who and what got cancelled. It's just liberal bullshit. They trolled you, son. Laser pointer on the wall. Hate to break it to you, but if the drives you smirk potato heat bullshit seriously got to you, you have been successfully psyoped. Sweet egg %xt 0 mev. Orwell mid women postingles. Fizz effect post. Online leftard. These fact post what's left adjacent crypto fash types are such obvious Claremont Institute funded GOP Marxists. Anyone outside Stokmal 0 ZL1 yugs. Bridgie 3's Hugh Hispacil Mayo blatant fact talk. Hitwim for NAO Camizil never understand it. Logamperts for sure. Xtkov 0 Littles 0 VP. These COVID relief bills are the new TARP bailouts of the 2002s. That's all it is. Help is on the way to bail out the richest of this country that put us in this mess and locked everybody up for no good reason. Some overdue crumbs are coming for the rest of you. Xtkol 0 Alienska. Lol, don't be shocked that the things you value are just tools of the elite. Woketards knew not like that. Xtkok 6 Lumpodkinf. Andre Aceman lol, me and Slav have girlfriends. Alt-righties think we're woketards. But the people they stand for take heed to what they say, so they have to make us seem bigger than we are. Otherwise it doesn't really make any sense proportionally to how much they are on our dicks. The way libtards talk so much about FactPost and me, even though we have a very small niche audience, almost makes it feel like we have some sort of sizable influence. Lol, rape victim amazing. Get ready for panning shots during White House press conference. I'm admittedly being flippant when I say libtard. Just wanna be clear that I don't hate old people for being old, lol. Those guys all shaped my views when I was younger, but it seems like they've just mostly gone along with the neolib order via supporting Biden, Bund, etc. I view everyone from Bernie's campaign suspiciously now toured. Party Jim 2 has 4 hedges. He pushes Extinction Rebellion and how you can take climate change as seriously after seeing this lib pandemic joke and them talking about climate lockdowns. Also he equated Trump and Biden, which to me is a cop-out clearly now since Biden's obviously worse. Bardakai and I actually don't care about Nagel because I know almost nothing about her, but everyone from Bernie's camp is an op, and here he is endorsing Biden. Kamala Spokim Pawaz.